Namaskar everyone. Welcome to our SSRF Facebook Live webinar. My name is Dragana Kislovski. I'm a seeker of SSRF from Belgrade, Serbia in Europe. And I have been doing spiritual practice under the guidance of SSRF for the past 18 years.
Namaskar. My name is Radha Mallick and I'm from Vancouver, Canada. And I've been doing spiritual practice with SSRF for the past 7 years.
Yesterday, we actually started this webinar series. And we were not even aware that yesterday was actually the anniversary of SSRF, as well as a very auspicious, positive day, one of those positive days in the year. So then we realized it must have been a divine play to start on that day. So today we are continuing. Yesterday we were doing as per the time zones of Asia and Australia, and today the time zones of North and South America and Europe. If you wish, you can comment in chat, you can ask your questions, you can tell us where you're from as well, your name, and we will do our best to answer all the questions. But if we will not be able to, you can always send questions to Facebook chat or Facebook messages or to our login on the website. Today I will be doing the service, or rather taking the role of interviewer, and I will be interviewing Radha. She will be telling about her spiritual journey. We are very grateful to God and to you all that we have this opportunity to do the SSRF Facebook Live webinar, because many of you asked if you can meet our seekers, if we can be live on video. So this is how this idea came about. We will be taking various topics. One of the series is Meet SSRF Seekers. Radha is the first one in this series. And we will have other topics. If you have some wish, which topic you would like us to cover, you can put that in chat also. This session we will try to be interactive. Radha will speak and you can pose your questions. Towards the end, we will have also question and answer session, so we will be answering questions more. So now I think we can start. Okay. You can start wherever you want.
Start from the beginning.
From the beginning. That's
okay,
always the best.
So actually my family, we're a Buddhist background, and I remember as a child, my parents and my family, we would go to the Buddhist temple in Vancouver, and there in the main hall there would be just this giant statue of Lord Buddha, all in gold. And I just remember, like, whenever I would see or be before that form of Lord Buddha, I would just feel in awe. Like I just had to just bow down and pay obeisance. Because it was, in those moments, I really could feel that there's something much more bigger than us or greater than us. And I just felt so small or so insignificant, but in a good way, so to speak. So, and then I have memories like when I was younger, maybe around 7 or 8 years old. My family, we never talked about God or how to pray or what to pray. But I remember, like, right before sleeping from my bed, I would make some prayer from within, like, thank you, God, for taking care of my family. Thank you for taking care of all of us. Please continue to protect us. Like that, I would just make these prayers.
Yeah, this is interesting. Dear seekers, viewers, friends, readers, I have similar situation. Actually, I also come from atheistic family, but my children prayed like you, same way. So there must be something there. God is taking care.
Yes. So I guess we can fast forward past high school.
Okay.
And then it was actually when I was in university that I started getting more interested in spirituality. Actually, while I was in school, I was always thinking that there has to be something more. Like, it can't just be that we go to school, we go to college, we get a career, have a family, have a house, and then have our own children, and then what?
Yeah.
Like that. So I was, in a way, always seeking or searching that I want to make something out of my life, some purpose I want to have. And in university, the main subject that I really enjoyed studying was anthropology. And this was because I got to learn about so many different cultures. And each different culture, they had their own way of talking about what the spiritual dimension was. They had their own ideas of who God was, or this universal power, so to speak. So that really intrigued me, that there must be something there. If so many cultures around the world can feel something or pay obeisance to something greater than us, there must be something there.
Absolutely.
So that's where I sort of started opening my mind and reading different books and trying different meditations. And finally, what happened was I was working in an outdoor camping store, and there I met two friends that we became friends, and they also later became seekers. We weren't seekers at the time. And one summer they asked me to look after their apartment for them. And so I agreed. And little did I know that that they were going straight to India, and they decided that they had no plans of what they were going to do in India. They just decided on the first day, we're going to go to Goa. And when they arrived in Goa, one of my friends, their relative, is actually a seeker in the ashram or hermitage here. I don't know if we shared that we're in the SSRF Research
yes,
Center.
this is a good point. We are actually broadcasting this from SSRF Spiritual Research Center and Ashram in Goa, India. For some of you who have cold weather out there, here is very warm and very nice. And we are enjoying not only the warm weather, but also the blissful atmosphere in the ashram. And actually, Radha, I remember when your two friends came, because I was in ashram at that time.
Okay.
And how they were quite surprised. I don't know what they expected to see, but they were very surprised when they came to ashram positively. And then they decided to stay longer. So that must have affected you as well, with taking care of apartment and all.
Yes, they were only supposed to stay for 2 weeks, actually. And later, towards the end of the 2 weeks, I get an email, and they say, actually, we're going to stay for 1 month. Please keep watering our plants and like that.
Yes. And one of your friends is now here,
Yes.
probably watching this live feed from ashram.
From ashram. So simultaneously, while my two friends were in the ashram, or here at the time, actually I was living with my family, and we had quite a frightening experience at our house. Myself, my aunt, and my younger sister, we could perceive some ghost or some entity was there in the house with us, and it would do various things to frighten us, threaten us like that. I remember one particular situation where we were all just sitting in the living room. We were watching some paranormal show, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, the TV screen just went to static for like 5 seconds. It went and then went back to the program. So since then, like, we were really realizing that something is there, and we were really scared and frightened and did not know what to do at all. But now my friends in India, they were my only friends that were spiritual in any way. All of my other friends from high school, college, they were, not really believing or skeptics. So I wrote directly to them and explained what was happening, and if they could give any guidance of what we can do to help ourselves or protect ourselves. So then they gave me the link to the SSRF website, and they told me to do the ancestral protection chant of Shri Gurudev Datta.
And that is how all of it started.
Yes. And I clearly remember, like, my first spiritual experience with doing this chant. I had never heard of who Lord Datta was or what this chant was, but we were desperate. We said, we'll try anything. But when I did this chant, I would feel like this big protective bubble, in a way, or protective sheath come around me. And that entity or ghost, it could not come close to me. Previously, I would feel it watching me behind my back, or like very close, and I would feel
pretty unpleasant, yes.
Very uncomfortable. But while doing this chant, it would stay far away, or even just leave that space I was in. So
let us just ask our viewers, if you are chanting Sri Gurudev Datta chant or had similar experiences, please, if you wish, you can also share with us in this live feed.
So that was my first major spiritual experience that gave me faith that there's something there in these chants, these protective chants.
Sure.
So finally, my friends, they came back from India and they told me everything about SSRF and their experiences in the ashram.
And that inspired you.
And that really inspired me a lot, actually. So I was really lucky and fortunate to have seekers in the same city as me. We started our spiritual practice together.
You were
in that
attending
way.
spiritual meets, satsangs, at that time.
Yes.
They were on phone or Skype?
On phone.
On phone, okay.
That time when we joined the weekly satsang or spiritual meeting, it was on the phone. So we had to dial in, and everyone from all over North America would join on Friday nights.
Now they're on Skype.
Yeah, now they're on Skype.
We have modernized. And now we have webinars.
Yes. So I just remember from those satsangs, it was really amazing how I would have a thought in my mind of what I wanted to ask. But then what would happen is either another attendee would ask the exact question I had, or the conductor would immediately speak about the topic of what I wanted to ask. So I saw like how this teaching principle of God, or the Guru principle of God, was present in the satsang, and all of the seekers attending, due to our yearning, our desire, wanting to learn more, God was giving us exactly what we needed for our spiritual practice. So Fridays were booked for me. I didn't go out or anything. I was sitting at home by the phone, getting ready to attend the satsang.
Dear viewers, if you are attending satsangs of SSRF, type yes, if you wish. And if you had experiences from satsangs, you can also share. Radha, we have one question. It is from Metuna, from Sri Lanka. She says, just wanted to ask Radha, how you keep this intense desire burning constantly? Is there any specific efforts to be done? Because often during this path, we start intensely, and after some time, the yearning reduces.
Yes, it's a good
So
question.
some tip maybe for Metuna and other seekers out there.
Yes. So early on, my guiding seekers, they would ask me, what is my aim in spiritual practice, or why am I starting spiritual practice? So I think for each one of us, it will be something different, and it can change over time. I can say for myself, initially it was about protecting myself from these negative energies. But then as I attended satsang, I started experiencing spiritual emotion, or experiencing God more and more in my life. And also calmness of mind from doing chanting. So then I wanted to experience this calmness more. I wanted to decrease the thoughts and be in the present more. Then more, as I did Satsevar service, then even more joy or bliss from within came from serving others.
You can share a little bit what service were you doing
Yes.
in those days?
Yeah, in the early days, I was helping with some of our online avenues, like the SSRF Twitter. I was drafting those tweets that go live like that.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to try many different sevas over the years.
And what seva are you doing now?
Yeah, so now, by God's grace, I have the opportunity to help look after all of the seekers in Canada and conduct workshops and like that back in Canada. And now I guess these webinars, I'm joining the team to also help produce.
How was your experience when you were conducting lectures in Canada?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if you all knew me before spiritual practice, I was a terrible public speaker. I was super nervous. Anytime in school they would ask you to give a presentation, I would be shaking like a leaf, like this, holding my paper. So only because of spiritual practice and this personality defect removal process, I was able to overcome the insecurity, the worry, the fear, and now I'm able to, speak in front of an audience.
Now we cannot see this insecurity. Would you agree, dear viewers, seekers? No insecurity there. Very nice.
If you can say more than what I can say.
And then what happened? At one point of time, you stayed in ashram?
Yes. So finally in 2011, I had the opportunity to come here in the ashram for one spiritual workshop. And it was a life-changing experience. I can't express in words like how by coming here and meeting all of the seekers that live here, I think 300 to 500 seekers are living here in the ashram, and they're truly living like spiritually. It's not that spiritual practice is one thing and their lives are another thing, but spirituality was a way of life here, and I got to see that firsthand. And what really touched me was the spiritual love that all of the seekers here have for us. And even though I don't know Marathi, I don't know Hindi, but despite the language barrier, that connection we would have on spiritual level with each other.
Do you remember some small incident where this love was obvious in the ashram? If you can remember something that happened, it can be a very small incident that shows that love.
Yeah, I mean, basically, like any time that I was going to get food for myself, they would always ask, because they knew I was from Canada, oh, is this food okay? Are you used to this food? Do you want something else, some cucumber or some salad? So like,
and
they would always...
You're allergic to nuts,
Yeah.
and they would remember that. This I remember. How everybody would remember. Out of 500 seekers in ashram, they would remember that Radha is allergic to nuts.
Yes.
And
so
ask, is it okay for you that there are no nuts here?
yes.
Like that.
They would always, if I was scooping, they would come rushing and Radha.
No, don't take.
Yes. So much like care they would have for each aspect of my stay here.
We all have experienced this in various ways.
Yes.
Still experiencing every day.
Exactly.
There is one incident that you and I spoke about some time ago, which is actually a spiritual experience. Your car accident.
Yes.
You want to share a little bit about that?
Yes. So I think it was 2009 or 2010. I was only like 19, 20 at the time, and this was when I was in my first major car accident. I was going straight and the other car was coming the opposite way, and I wanted to go straight through the intersection, but he turned and we collided. And if you had seen the shape that my car was in, I was just in a small neon, I think Chrysler or something, like 4-door thing. And he had this big, huge pickup truck. And so the whole front of my car was completely smashed in by the accident. And like bystanders, I think I blacked out also for some time. And those bystanders had to pull me out. And but even despite that, I came out without a scratch. No scratch on my body.
Yeah.
I did some physiotherapy after, but recovered quite fast, actually. And what I remember from that accident was that I was completely shaken, of course, not knowing what to do or what to say. But my younger sister, she messaged me at that time, and she said, "Are you chanting?" And I realized I wasn't, so then I...
Her in a way.
Yes.
Is it?
And she's not doing any like regular spiritual practice as such, but she was the one that said, like, you chant. They took me to the doctor, and even the doctor was confused, like how I could be like so calm and composed and even smiling in his...
There came a moment when you decided to give back. Can you describe a little bit about that?
Yes. But after that workshop, I decided that actually this is what I want to do. I want to devote my life fully to spiritual practice and spreading spirituality, helping others to experience this bliss or this joy from within. And like all my life, like throughout high school, elementary school, I always liked to volunteer or, offer help to others. But when I started doing satseva and spiritual practice, I realized that the real help that we can give to anybody is to teach them about spirituality. Because after that workshop, from 2 weeks, I extended my stay to 6 months. And for those couple of years, I bringing me that joy and that purpose in life.
Have you ever regretted it?
No.
Not at all.
And I truly saw it every step of the way, how God here to here to here. Finally, I bought my last ticket to India. Bank account went to 0. And I thought to myself, okay, this is ashram. And when I go back, I don't know what will happen. Maybe I will take up a job.
Try to get some job. And
yes.
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart that spiritual practice will always be number one. Airplane. I get a call from the lawyer, and that car accident I told you all about, he said that now that court case is back up like this.
And you could sustain with these finances for a longer period of time.
Yes.
What may interest our viewers is how you met your husband.
Or I would think I would marry someone from US, like, and meet in the ashram and all of that. But in 2013, then we got married.
Later on Facebook chat, but you can hear
Yes.
from Radha firsthand how spiritually it felt, or from within. I was witnessing the marriage, but you can explain a little bit about that.
Sure. So normally, like those weddings that I've experienced back in Canada, they're between us. And I
First
felt
and foremost.
First and foremost. And the aim is
starting spiritual practice, but now I don't feel like being so social as my sensitivity has raised. At the
less we were in contact. We were on good terms. Like
I mean,
that,
this happens even in normal life,
Yeah.
regardless of spiritual practice or any other endeavor.
Exactly.
We have drifted, I have drifted
And
that.
seekers told me they're from Serbia and Croatia. So
Yes. There is one more comment from Trunk Nungyen. Yes, satsangs are a great way for motivation and keep consistent in spiritual practice. Conducting satsangs also. Can you share a little bit about that?
yes, I'm grateful I have the opportunity to conduct a few satsangs.
If a person wants to stay with God and talk to God continuously in this worldly life, what guidance?
Same way I try to have that spiritual emotion that the more I call out to God through chanting, then He is there. He's looking at me and He's with me.
Yes.
So
Seekers, we have mentioned that we are here in the ashram, in the Spiritual Research Center of SSRF, just to energy in the ashram to meet like-minded seekers and saints, to learn something new, and to maybe get a boost for your already existing spiritual practice. We have attended some of them, and it inspired us a lot, and we keep learning. With the seekers to get that family feeling. So if you have any desire, you can check out our site. On the home page there is instruction about the 3-day workshops this spring in USA and Canada, and we will have 2 in Europe as well. All of this. Would you like to share anything else from your spiritual journey, any spiritual experience perhaps?
yeah, I mean, I can just share in general like how spiritual practice has changed my
Yes,
life completely. Because how I was before spiritual practice, there were different personality defects I had, like anger, worrying, insecurity, all of this that would cause me many obstacles in my day-to-day life. And I was frustrated because whenever any situation came that I could not handle, I would be crying. Or if some situation was happening in the future, I would be worrying so much. And I just did not know how to overcome this. And actually I was suffering a lot inside. I think a lot of viewers can probably relate. But by starting spiritual practice, they gave me all of the tools how I can become better, how I can introspect and understand the layers of, what is deep inside. And by working on that and realizing what is there inside and being able to work on it, then God's love or God's energy was coming in much, much more. And I could experience God's presence more and more in my daily life. And I truly feel like there's nothing that I need to worry about in life. Like what will happen in the future, how it will be. All of this is like not there in my mind anymore.
Life gets a new dimension actually.
Yes.
And definitely the purpose.
Yes.
And there is one question. How did you work on your insecurity. I think many people have that feeling of insecurity.
Yes.
Maybe you can help.
Yes. So in this personality defect removal process, which is one aspect of spiritual practice that SSRF guides about, you get to work actively on these different defects like insecurity. And how we address it, there's something called autosuggestions, which are ways that we like tell the mind how to go in a different direction. So let's say when a situation came, then due to my insecurity, I would always run this way. But through autosuggestions, we're forming an impression in the subconscious mind how to go in the way that is more conducive for us, or which will bring us more happiness. So I took these autosuggestions and actively tried to come out of the insecurity. Like when they told that I can try to start conducting workshops, I accepted. I was terrified.
That is a very important point, to accept
Yes.
and then work on it.
Yes. So I tried to see that every situation or every opportunity that came was an opportunity for me to overcome my insecurity. So whether they said, please conduct this satsang, or take care of these seekers, or conduct this workshop, I would just accept and just pray to God that you only help me get it done.
And it worked each time.
Yes. And the biggest thing was what I realized, it was not developing confidence just in myself, but confidence in God.
Exactly, exactly. This is some things that I also was learning. The difference between self-confidence and confidence in God. Self-confidence is more from ego, and confidence in God is more from the soul.
Yes.
There is one question from Petra Stich from Germany. She's asking, have you experienced any severe obstacles in your spiritual practice? And if so, did this change from how it was in the beginning? You can share.
About maybe some spiritual distress.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually early on, I started realizing that I have some spiritual distress, like due to some negative energies that were there. So initially this caused some different obstacles in my spiritual journey, but through SSRF, they provided all of the tools. So all of the different spiritual healing remedies, seekers were always there to help guide me on what remedy to do, what chant to do to overcome it. And by doing like concentrated chanting, seated in one place, they would prescribe me different amounts of times to do for spiritual healing each day. So I would try to do that rigorously. Like I would not miss a day of doing the spiritual healing. And then gradually, as I continued spiritual practice, the spiritual distress reduced considerably.
Yes.
And especially in this past year, like when I left the
big
ashram.
difference, yes.
Yeah, I left the ashram for 8-9 months in Canada and came back. And when I came back, like all of the seekers were sharing that they could see that the spiritual distress had reduced considerably. So.
There is a question from Andre. He's asking, how can I know my spiritual level or that I'm growing spiritually?
Yes. So about spiritual level, we do have an article on the website that gives some like generic average, like things you can, by intellect you can see what level you may be at.
Yeah, where we can evaluate ourselves.
Yeah. But in the end, it's not so much like what level I am, but what I realized is it's more about what we feel from inside.
Yeah.
So am I feeling more connection to God in my day-to-day life? Am I able to chant more with concentration? Can I feel bliss? Can I feel spiritual emotion? Like this is how I would try to gauge myself.
Love for others.
Love for others.
Have my expectations decreased?
Exactly.
Like that. There is one question from Vaishnavi Kulan. She says, Namaskar Radha, thanks for sharing your experience. I have a question. Do you feel sometimes that you miss your material worldly life or not? Not at all, since you are fully devoted to spiritual practice.
Yes, so it's a good question.
Yes.
So I noticed that the more and more that I increase my spiritual practice, then what I realized, like in the world, like in worldly life, that I would get some form of happiness. But the type of happiness or bliss I would get from spiritual practice was like way beyond that. So say going to a movie, like happiness would be this much, but going to satsang, meeting seekers would be like
Yeah.
through the roof. So it wasn't a question to me like that I'm sacrificing something or anything. It was more that I was choosing what was bringing me more happiness from within.
Yes.
And this happens naturally.
It happens naturally,
It
yes.
happens naturally. It's not that on the first day I completely jumped in. It slowly happened.
Yeah, it is a gradual process. It happens to all of us, and it will not be the same for everybody. Everybody is different. So some will perceive some attitudinal or behavioral changes in a different way. Some will have more connection to God. Some will experience spiritual emotion towards God more. Some will experience love for others more. It depends on the basic nature of the seeker as well. But it is good. It's a good question. We need to monitor ourselves, and if we are not sure and we are going to satsangs, we can always ask our guiding seeker, and they will be there to help us. Radha, do you have one more message to seekers? What do you have to say before we wind up?
Oh, already so fast.
Yeah, it's almost 40 minutes.
Okay.
More than that.
I'm just very grateful that we have this new forum to connect with all of you. And for those of you that are already doing spiritual practice with us, I wish you all the best and hope that you come here and we meet again soon. And those of you that are maybe joining for the first time or hearing about SSRF for the first time, we really hope that you can visit the site or speak to us, and whatever is there, any questions you have, any way that we can help you in your spiritual journey, we're here to serve. So
there are some forums that you can utilize. We have login forum. It is on our site. You can log in and ask questions there. We reply within 48 hours in 6 languages. We also have satsangs that are continually going on. For English speakers, there is orientation satsang. You can find the details on the home page and register for the satsangs, and we will call you. It is one Saturday, one Sunday, alternatively like that. They have started actually today only, after a break for holidays. And as we said, 5-day workshops, 3-day workshops in America and Europe. We are here to welcome you in ashram if you decide to come. You can continue asking your questions on Facebook. There is a team who will keep replying as we go along. And we hope to really meet you personally one day. If you have more questions, you can continue to ask even when we wind up this webinar. And of course, the webinar is staying online, so you can watch it after as well. So we will express gratitude to all of you. We express gratitude to God, gratitude to Radha for being so giving to us today. Namaskar to everyone.
Namaskar.